Hello and welcome to inapress.org. Listening to lamestream media, you'd think the death rate this year would be much higher than they've been in recent years. Every large media company everywhere in the world has been reporting on COVID-19 as if bodies are piling up everywhere. But nothing could be further from the truth, at least here in the U.S. In addition, they've been reporting COVID-19 cases as if they're some sort of small number that is suddenly growing exponentially. We're seeing this more and more as states start to open up. Once again, that's far from the truth. I'll show you that they've been manipulating their numbers to make it appear as if we have an emergency pandemic that's claiming so many lives, but in reality, aside from a couple small pockets in the U.S., there's nothing to fear from this virus, but a lot to fear from government intrusion into and control of our personal lives. I'll show you the facts, and I will be giving my opinion in this. I'll make it clear what is fact and what is opinion as we go through the data and a couple recent articles. But before I do that, please hit the subscribe button and the bell so you can be alerted to my upcoming videos. Check this out. On the CDC's website, titled Provisional Death Counts for Coronavirus Disease, they give the current death counts from CV-19. They also give the total deaths from all causes during the same time period. This page is updated regularly. In fact, they just updated it yesterday. It currently goes from February 1st, 2020 through May 16th, 2020. Under this column, it lists deaths from all causes. And the column right next to it, it lists the percent of expected deaths. What they do is take the average death rate from years 2017 through 2019 and set that at 100. They leave New York City out of this equation, most likely for reasons we'll get to later on in this video. Let's start with the U.S. as a whole. Right here, you can see that there have been 876,866 deaths from February 2nd through May 16th. 62,515 of them have supposedly been from COVID-19. Over in this column, you can see that we are only at 97% of the deaths compared to the average of the last 3 years. This means 3% less people have died from February 1st through May 16th this year than who died during the same average time period over the last 3 years. So where's the emergency? Why all the panic? Why have we shut the economy down over something that's having no major deviation from the normal death rate in this country? I don't know the answers to those questions, but let's look at some more data. I'm from Minnesota. I've obviously been concerned about my own home state. My parents live here, and I come from a large family. I have a lot of brothers and sisters, nieces, nephews here. My closest friends live here. Many of them have parents who are still alive, but getting up there in years. I've been concerned for their health as well. So check this out. Under Minnesota, from the time period February 1st through May 16th, 13,698 people have died from all causes. 474 of them have supposedly been from this virus, according to the CDC. Now, some news stations are reporting the total CV-19 death count as 700 on May 16th. It can be argued that the other diseases play a huge role because I think they're adding up many of these other deaths and trying to squeeze it into this number. It's my opinion, or at least I believe, that a CV death should be listed as a CV death, and other deaths should be listed as other deaths. As CV was a contributing factor, it should be listed, but we should not take that into consideration very much because in most cases, those people were on their way out already. I believe that we should only be paying attention to these numbers right here. This is the number put out by the CDC listing only CV-19 deaths. But even more important or significant than that is this number right here, 98. Notice we right here in Minnesota had 2% less deaths over the same time period of February 1st through May 16th than we did for the time period average over the last 3 years. That's 2% less deaths. Let me repeat it again. 2% less deaths. Our governor shut the state down over a virus that is doing nothing outside of the ordinary when you assess the situation by the real numbers rather than buying into the fear and hysteria being pushed by the media and our governor, Tim Walz. We have less deaths now than we did the last 3 years for that same time period. Tim Walz even went and spent nearly $7 million on a warehouse to store the dead bodies only a couple weeks ago. Check it out. This article is from Pioneer Press, dated May 8th. Minnesota cannot repeat what's been seen in places hit hard by COVID-19 and where bodies piled up, officials said Friday. That's why state leaders asked for $6.9 million to purchase a refrigerated warehouse for storage of human remains, which the Legislative COVID-19 Response Commission authorized. Quote, "We will not allow our dead to be set somewhere undignified, which is horrible, worst-case scenario," end quote, said Governor Tim Walz. Negotiations are underway to buy a building where we can properly handle with dignity and respect and safety the bodies of Minnesotans who may fall victim to the coronavirus, said Joe Kelly. He's the director of Minnesota Homeland Security and Emergency Management. So what's this warehouse for? Where are these dead bodies? Where are they going to come from? The numbers simply don't match the hysteria. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. There's no logic behind any of these decisions, let alone the intrusive obstruction or the complete destruction of our economy and everyday lives. Small businesses in this state are going under right and left. Every day we're hearing about more businesses biting the dust. This unconstitutional power grab by Walz has, in only a few weeks, completely destroyed our lives as we knew them. You see, here's the thing. We can defy these outrageous orders, but then we face harsh punishments. Small businesses, restaurants, bars, nail salons, small stores, if they open up, there's huge risk. They'll all face punishment. In one fell swoop, the governor has acted as a dictator with no evidence to back up his claims, mind you, and told these businesses they're not essential. They had to close their doors. And for what purpose? To save lives? What lives? We're at a lower death rate now than we've had in the last 3 years. But I digress. Back to the topic at hand. Clearly, these numbers given by the CDC do not match the fear and hysteria surrounding this whole fiasco for most of the country. What do I mean by that? Let's look at New York City. This is a place you do not want to live if you're older. Right here. So far this year, there have been 15,757 deaths from CV-19 during the time period of February 1st through May 16th. Total deaths from all causes stands at 38,545. Now that's a lot of people. Over here you can see that it's 2.26 times more people have died in this time period than have died over the same time period over the last 3 years. Now this is outrageous. When Cuomo was asked about this, about who's responsible for those deaths, here's what he had to say.
Yeah, the comment is this, and I have those conversations all day long with people who've lost people, right? We lost 139 people yesterday in hospitals. Who is accountable for those 139 deaths? Well, how do we get justice for those families who had 139 deaths? What is justice? Who can we prosecute for those deaths? Nobody. Nobody. Mother Nature, God, where did this virus come from? People are going to die by this virus. That is the truth.
So there you have it. That's his answer. Who do we prosecute? God? Mother Nature? Let's see, how about the person who ordered the nursing homes filled with vulnerable adults to take in sick from CV-19? Check this out. This opinion news piece was published in the New York Post on April 28th. Cuomo to blame for COVID spreading through nursing homes. What really happened in nursing homes is what we feared from the get-go, Cuomo said. He called them ground zero for the virus and added, it just takes one infected person to walk in there, and then it's fire through dry grass. As a statement of fact, there's nothing wrong and everything right with these words, but the governor's clear understanding of the special circumstances that nursing homes face deepens the mystery about why he allowed his Department of Health to force sick patients into those same facilities. The Department of Health order dated March 25th decreed that nursing homes and rehab centers could not use a positive COVID-19 test as the sole basis for rejecting a patient being referred from hospitals. Fearing state regulators, many facility executives say they accepted the transfer even though they believed the order was a death sentence for some existing patients and staff. One of the nursing homes, Luxor officials say they took 25 to 30 infected transfers under the mandate. And now Cuomo is threatening to investigate nursing homes. Although he softened his tone Tuesday after vowing to remove licenses of some nursing homes last week, Cuomo nonetheless still intends to investigate them over the huge number of COVID-19 fatalities, now exceeding 3,600. No doubt he will find flaws and errors as routine inspections often do, but any indication that homes had serious problems pre-pandemic only underscores a mistake of ordering them to take infected patients. If they weren't up to snuff before, how in the world could they handle coronavirus patients? So there you have it. To recap, the order was issued by Cuomo's Department of Health on March 25th, even though Cuomo knew nursing homes could turn into ground zero where, quote, it takes one person to walk in there and then it's fire through dry grass, end quote. And nursing homes, knowing their own patients and employees would die from it, were scared to resist the order because they could be punished by the state. And then somehow Cuomo threatened to remove the license of some nursing homes who were forced against their own better judgment to follow his authoritarian edict. And now he plans to investigate them. My opinion here, this whole nightmare, if you are partially human with a soul, it should make you mad as hell. He's a cold-hearted savage. So that's the story of New York City, and it explains why, while the rest of the country is at or very near their normal mortality rates, New York City is right now 2.25 times their normal death rate. It was mismanagement at its worst and most genocidal. Can we say intentional? After all, he knew what would happen, but ordered it anyway. Back to the first point I was making. The data from the CDC shows that most of us have nothing to be concerned about, unless our governors overstep their authority and put sick people into nursing homes. If they do that, they will wipe out entire nursing homes full of vulnerable people. But if we keep them from making such moves, we'll all be okay. As you can see this data, it doesn't matter whether our states have stayed open or if they've shut down. The end results are nearly the same. There's no reason to panic. There's nothing to worry about. The only thing we succeeded in doing by shutting everything down is we've killed the economy, utterly devastated small businesses all across the country for no reason at all. And the media, they've been lying to us the whole time, using numbers that are not factual, taking people who died from causes other than CV-19 and throwing them into the mix, only to keep everyone's fear and paranoia on high. It's fear porn at its worst and most dangerous. And the people, they've fallen for the whole scheme, hook, line, and sinker. Everyone's bought into these dangerous lies. It's time to wake up, tell our government leaders that they failed us, tell our governors they have no right to fringe on our rights whatsoever, and boot them out of office if they've overstepped their authority and behave like dictators. Once again, please hit the red subscribe button underneath the video, hit the bell so you get notifications, and I'll see you next time. This is inapress.org, where we seek truth and dismantle mainstream media's lies.